ain't nobody. But later on, there's going to be lots of bodies. But check this out, you guys. I know it's a lot of shadow and stuff here, but check this out, you guys. I came on this bright Sunday morning to share a little bit with my people. Um, I'm so joyful. Early in the morning. Hey, been up since 6-ish, whatever, on a Sunday, because I got to get what I need so that I can spread joy. I got to make sure that I am strengthened by his joy, which keeps me joyful all the live long day. Okay? So, I know y'all cold over there on the East Coast. It's all nice over here on the West Coast. But I want to get right down to what I'm want to talk about this morning. Now, some of y'all are keeping up with the Accountable Chronicles and how our accountability is our superpower. I really want to expound on some of that today and allow you who have been feeling powerless and or acting powerless, to really learn how to wield that thing into action so that you may live a life full of joy. I'm so joyful. And I want to spread some of that joy today. But guess what? It starts with you. Okay, let's start from the top, y'all. Because the issue is we have been set up from the get up. Those of us who were born in this country as African Americans, I'm talking to directly right now. Um, our experience is different from a lot of other cultures. There's a lot going in our community right now, a lot of really nice, not nice stuff. Um, and generationally, especially those of us who were in the church, and there are those who came up in the church. I didn't come up in it. I chose it in my adulthood from 18 on. Um, there are reasons why our communities are in the situation that they're in, and a lot of that is even tied to church, believe it or not. Now, this is not a church bashing this is not a church bashing information session. This is about the fact that we have been programmed into a place of powerlessness. We have been taught so much on how to wield and yield our spirit man, when we skipped over what we needed to do in the meantime and occupying until he comes, and occupying in this here flesh suit. How do I handle it? We got taught that, oh, the flesh is this, the flesh is weak, and this is wrong, and that is wrong, and this is wrong. But you're not telling me how I'm going to live in this thing. I got to focus on the spirit. However, God never, ever, 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 ever does anything without a purpose, right? He created us with purpose in mind, and he created us in this flesh suit. And why on earth are we in something that he wants us to get over while we're here? Like, seriously, guys, I'm really asking a serious question. It's like he gave us these bodies and made us whole in it. Like, in this realm, we were born with everything we need to operate this flesh suit. And because, you know, later on when we are trying to figure out things in our mind and figure out things in our body, we go right to, oh, how to handle that thing in the spirit. Meanwhile, why are people fighting? Why is there so much separation? Why is there so much crime and shooting and all of this? Why is there so much discontent? People have been taught to wait on the by and by. And if you live 80, 90 years, what are you doing in your occupying? What are you doing in this person? Did God create us, put us on this earth to be miserable, and then because in heaven is going to be greater? Oh, I know right down here. Please understand, especially if you are Black, that you were born to traumatize people who in this country, their entire life was built on survival. So then they taught their children survival in order to stay alive. And then those children taught their children survival. Then our safe haven became church. And we got in that place where our safety was in him. And we, we stole away. We just stole away to get to that place of peace, and that's the only place we saw. But we didn't learn how to live in this because it was so horrible. Their situation was horrible. So then let's go a little further down the generations where we have the civil rights movement. We have all these things. The children were taught based off of fear. They were taught on, scripturally, we can break all these things down about your sin. And this is the other thing that happened. On a plantation where a man was considered not to be human, where a male was dehumanized, castrated, his manhood was just snatched from him. Sidestep over to church, where he held a position of power, where his power that was always ignored is now here. So in this world where we're nothing, we come in this place where we're something, and somehow we get to a place where we're lording over one another. And then people who feel low, their eyes go on that high place so that they're no longer low. But no one's ever telling us in the middle how to deal with this, how to deal with humanity, how to deal in our humanity. But what happened was the instruction was wrong. The instruction was wrong because we were caught up. I personally believe that the mark is missed a lot. And I want to take it from the top because, I was raised Catholic, and in Catholic religion, we were taught the 10 Commandments, and that we can live our lives not breaking those, and that was pleasing to God. Then later on, when I got saved and joined church and all that, they started teaching us how to be more spiritual and all these things, because in this flesh dwells no good thing. So, fornication, lying, this and that and the other. And then you're trying to keep all these things and trying to keep yourself holy. And then people are now sin engaging and pointing toward one another what's right. But baby, let me take it to the beginning for you. Because this is what I had to do. Because I'm like, God, this is not making any sense to me. How is it that we are in a world where we're in discontent, and then we go inside church, and then there's more discontent, and then all these teaching and people are still unfulfilled, unhappy, like, where are we missing it, God? So I want to go back to the beginning when let me just show you. Matthew 22, 36 to 40. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. Oh, I want to read 40 again. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. On these two hang everything. Wait a minute. On these two hang everything. Now, people who know doxology and people have there's all these things that we say. How many times did we hear that and didn't even study to think? Let's just go to the beginning. Okay, we know love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. Love him with everything you have in him. And the second is just like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, so let's go back to these traumatized people who were raising us in church, teaching us this word. And that was skit. Because one of the first things we should be taught as children is the greatest two. We're loving God with everything we have in us. We're loving God with everything we have in us. And then we're loving ourselves. Now, in order for me to love my neighbor like I love me, I have to love me. So why aren't children taught self-love from a child? Excuse me. Why is it a foreign concept? Why are we taught that true love is coming one day? Why are we taught to love our neighbor? Why are we taught? Let me tell you what the thing that does us in the most. Why are we taught to do unto others as we would like them to do unto us when Jesus clearly said to love your neighbor as yourself? That's two, explicitly different things. Because what happens is, as what happened to me, a person who believed I am just, I always treat people so well. I treat people like I want to be treated. I treat people like I want to be treated. I treat people like I want to be treated. Until it hit me one day that I'm treating them better than I treat me because they are going to do that to me. And then when they don't do that to me, I'm upset because I've done unto them like I was taught. I've always been taught to treat others the way I want to be treated, but no one ever told me to treat me like I want to be treated. No one told me to love me enough, and that if I loved me, then it would be easy to love my neighbor. But what happens is when I love my neighbor and they don't love me back, then I feel rejected and lost. When I'm loving on my neighbor and I'm giving out everything that I have and my vessel becomes empty and now I need someone to pour in and they refuse to, I'm on E and I'm distraught. I'm upset. I'm unhappy. This is where that accountability thing came in for me. Because if I had been doing what he said the greatest of the commandments were, if I had been taught from a child to love me in everything that is in me and love me, in this humanity, then I could excuse someone else who's in this same space that I'm in. I can excuse that person whose humanity is preventing them from being whoever I need them to be in that moment. But the fact that I need them to be means I haven't tended to my own. Because peep this, if my vessel is on full, if I've taken the time to make sure my pitcher is full of water, when everybody comes around during the day and pour in, it's going to overflow. But guess what? If they choose not to come by during the day and pour in, I'm not missing nothing because I'm staying on full for me. And then being in my humanity, knowing how bad things can be or how good things can be or whatever, I'm now able to excuse this other human who's walking around in the same suit that I am in because I'm giving myself the grace to get through it. I can give them the grace because I'm loving them like I love me. When I give myself grace and forgive myself, then I can give grace and forgiveness to someone else. When I give myself that understanding, then I can give that understanding to someone else. But if I'm robbing me of it because I'm giving it to you, expecting you to give it back to me, I'm already in violation because I'm not doing this word. But the problem is that we have been taught to believe that that's how it's supposed to go. So that's where our expectations are. And the reason why many of us are in the mindsets that we're in, many of us are in the positions that we're in, is because we're choosing that. How do I know it's a choice? Because I chose to get out of it. I'm not in it anymore. You can choose the same thing. But the thing about it is this. You believe what you believe because you've always believed it. But you can choose today that I no longer believe what I think. I choose to explore the rest of this brain and believe that there is a way that I can do this that is different. See, for the longest, we look at the word and we say, there's a way that seems right unto man, but the ends thereof is the way of death, and think that that scripture means in all its capacity that a man who is thinking worldly, this is going to end up, we've been taught, how we were taught sin and all that. But how about the way that seems right that grandma taught, that great grandma taught? And the end thereof still ends up as death, baby, because there is no life in that. There's no freedom without liberty. There's no life without liberty. So it's death. It's bondage. It's not freedom. And let me tell you another scripture that illuminated through this whole thing for me. Peep this. And be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Oh, I didn't hit the right thing. Sorry. And be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Now, y'all know all this time what we have been taught that thing meant, right? But what if I were to challenge you and tell you the house you grew up in, let's take the 2-year-old you, whether that was your mama, your grandmama, any siblings, cousins, aunties, uncles, whatever that house was, that was your world. Those 4 walls was your world, okay? The church that you went to, whatever that family circle, whatever they did, whatever that routine, that was your world. And you became conformed to that. And so your beliefs, your actions, your everything that you do is based off of the conformity, the limiting beliefs that you were taught. And so you live your life as if those things are true. And because you live your life that way, your world, you're conformed, but you have the ability to transform your mind to no longer believe what you think. Let me just give you an example. As a person who was always praying to God to help me get thick skin, I used to pray for thick skin because my feelings was hurt all the time. And because I was conformed to the fact that I believed that people could hurt my feelings, it was constantly happening to me. I acted as if that were true. But when I decided to challenge that thought and not be conformed to the fact that I will forever be in my life in this skin, be sensitive and have my feelings hurt and just have to learn how to get thicker skin. But I decided, no. I no longer believe that. I'm not going to be conformed to the world, to this world that I've been in my entire life, and decide to live without joy. Is that his will? Would that be his perfect will for me to not have joy? That don't make sense. But it makes sense to us who believes that, this so hard, this life is hard, and we're going to get something by and by and all the yeah, it was hard all those times, but we were never imprisoned here. We were never enslaved here. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Decide no longer will I be in this place. I don't choose this for me no more. This cannot be God's best for me. It can't be his best for me. Not happening. So how do I get out of this? Because it seemed to me that he wasn't answering when I kept saying, Lord, give me thicker skin, give me thicker skin. But when I look at Romans 12:2, I said, be ye not conformed to this world. My world has always been a place where my feelings were hurt. But I'm going to be transformed. Now, when I break this thing down, somebody says, you ugly black spook. Now those are words, right? Why did those same words used to hurt me so bad? Because that was something that I had believed about myself. So that was something, listen. But after I worked on that healing, because that's all that was doing, was directing me to the place of that healing. But after I started breaking it down, think about this. You have 2 family members who are arguing, right? You can be ha ha, he, ha ha, y'all joking around, and somebody says something smart, and the other one like, ha ha, F you, ha ha. And they both laugh. However, later on in an argument, that person could say those same 2 words, F you, and he'd be like, no, I ain't talking to him no more. And he said F you. He said it earlier in the joking. But it was no problem with that because we both were on the same level. Now that they're saying it in an argument, you automatically have a preconceived notion of what those 2 words mean, and you assign those feelings to that thing. You've assigned those feelings to those words, the same words you heard earlier, and didn't assign those feelings to it because that situation was acceptable, because we were laughing. But now that we're not laughing, those words mean something different. That is your choosing. That is your filtering that makes those words have any power at all. And if they have any power, if they have any effect, the effect is not because they said it, it's because something in you needs fixing. Excuse me. Ooh, how many of y'all even like the screen? You be like, because the corona got y'all, ooh, that even a cough through the screen. I'm sorry. Let me bring it back. I just wanted to just point that out that, we don't have to believe what we think. You can change your beliefs. You can change the fact that your complaining is what gets you attention and therefore you're caught up in complaining. You can change the fact that your entire family are subject to illnesses all the time because of the fact that y'all believe that you are sickly people. You can choose something different for your life. You can choose. I went from a person who was always depressed, who knew when my depression was going to set in and know what time of year and all that, to deciding that's no longer acceptable for my life. I don't want that. I live in joy. You can change your mind, renew it, decide that this no longer works for me and live according to something else. Open that word back up with a different perspective and allow yourself to be transformed truly. That you don't have to be stuck in that box. Grandmama was stuck. Listen, they had a whole different experience than we had. But right now, we got to go back to the beginning. Love your neighbor as yourself. People are loving their neighbor the way they loving them. Self-sabotage. So you sabotaging your neighbor. Brutal self-talk. So you talking bad about people. All that stuff comes from inside. We can get this work done, people. We can change your environment. You change this environment first. And then everything around you is going to start to change. But take it back to the basic. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. Stop. We can't mix the other commandments right now. You're so busy trying to keep all this stuff. And then you get to the place where you're falling down because you feel falling short. No. Love God, love you. Once you love you, you can love others. And once you love others, then others are catching on and it's going from there. It's a movement. Choose no longer to believe that people just that way. Choose to stop believing that somebody owes you something. Choose to stop believing that you got to be depressed. Choose to stop believing that your anxiety. Stop claiming it as your own. My anxiety. That is ownership. That's saying that this is something I own. Choose. Transform your mind. You don't have to be conformed to this world, the world that you've lived in, the world that your family, that your grandmama, that everybody said. All those things don't have to be true in your world. You have a choice. Come on now, y'all. Join. Wait, which side is it? It's right here. It's right there. Coach D's Lovin Life Academy. I can help y'all. I can help you live the life that you be loving life, honey. Reach out. Shout out. Go to my website, www.whoslovingyouBoo.com. Let me put it up on the screen for y'all. Hold on. I'm going to put my background on. Let me put it up here for you. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Where'd it go? All right. Well, it's not up there. Okay. We're going to just cut it. Okay. Back to you guys. We're going to go to the website, www.whoslovingyouBoo.com. That's WHOSLOVINYOUBOO.com. Holla at your girl. Let's get this work done, y'all. Let's spread that love.